Removes these items, they attract demons. We all carry things. Stories, beliefs, objects, habits that once served us. Maybe they helped us survive. Maybe they were gifts we didn't ask for but accepted anyway because we were too scared to say no. Maybe we thought they were protecting us. But over time we realize some things don't protect us. They possess us. These are the things we must remove, not because we're weak, not because we're superstitious, but because some things hold a spiritual weight that drags our souls into hiding. The demons aren't always horned and winged. Sometimes they whisper you're not enough. Sometimes they show up as perfectionism, shame, addiction, resentment, or silence. And sometimes, yes, they live in the things around us: a photo, a gift, a book, an old message on our phone. Removing these items isn't about fear. It's about freedom. It's about choosing what gets to stay in the sacred space that is your life. Let go, make space, stand in your worth. Remove what no longer serves your peace, your power, your purpose. You are not a dumping ground for haunted energy. We all carry things, stories, beliefs, objects, habits that once served us. Maybe they helped us survive a hard season. Maybe they were gifted to us by people we didn't have the strength to say no to. Maybe they represented a time we didn't fully understand our worth. But at some point, we have to pause and ask, do these things still serve me? Or are they silently working against the person I'm becoming? Because some things don't protect us. They possess us. They cling to us like shadows and shape the way we think, love, and live. When we talk about removing things because they attract demons, we're not talking about fear, base superstition. We're talking about clarity. We're talking about the emotional and spiritual weight that certain items carry. Demons come in many forms: shame, scarcity, addiction, perfectionism, unresolved grief. And sometimes they attach themselves to physical things: a photo that brings back trauma, a book that drips with an ideology that once convinced you were unworthy, clothes that make you shrink, gifts from someone who once controlled you with kindness. These are not just things. They are symbols, anchors, and sometimes traps. Removing them is not weakness. It's not paranoia. It's the practice of boundaries in physical form. It's saying, I deserve to live in a space that reflects my healing, not my hurt. It's being brave enough to believe that what surrounds you matters, that energy lingers, and that we have the right to choose what we allow into our sacred spaces. Vulnerability is not just opening up. It's also cleaning house. It's being honest about the quiet ways we betray ourselves by holding onto what we've outgrown, just to avoid confrontation or loss. We hold on because it feels easier, because letting go means accepting that a part of our past won't be coming with us, that we've changed, that we're allowed to change, but healing is disruptive. It rearranges things. It requires us to choose ourselves sometimes for the first time, and that choice, though it may seem small, is holy. It's not about burning everything down. It's about making conscious decisions to live in alignment with who we are now. You're not throwing things away. You're reclaiming space. You're creating room for what's real, what's healthy, what's whole. So yes, remove the items that attract demons. Remove the reminders of a self you no longer have to perform. Remove what was never meant to follow you into this next chapter, because you are not a museum of old pain. You are not a haunted house. You are a temple. We all carry things, not just in our hands or in our homes, but deep within our minds, our hearts, and our spirits. These things come in the form of memories, beliefs, behaviors, and objects, each tied to something that shaped us. Sometimes we pick them up out of love, sometimes out of fear, and sometimes we inherit them without consent. But with time and awareness, we begin to feel the weight of what we're carrying. We begin to ask, is this still mine? Does this still serve me? Does this still reflect who I am becoming? There are things items, habits, symbols. That may seem small or even harmless on the surface, but they hold a kind of energy that quietly drains us. They don't simply take up space on a shelf or in a drawer. They take up space in the soul. And when we say, remove these items, they attract demons. We're not speaking in superstition. We're speaking in metaphor. We're speaking in emotional truth, because sometimes the demons are not creatures lurking in the shadows. They are shame, fear, anxiety, addiction, guilt, and resentment. They are patterns that hide behind objects, songs, smells, or even the clothes we wear. They are the silent agreements we've made with suffering to keep carrying what no longer belongs with us. Freedom begins the moment we give ourselves permission to let go, and letting go is rarely easy. It requires honesty, courage, and a sense of worth. To say, I don't need this anymore, is to declare, I believe I can live without this weight. I believe I am enough without it. Some of us hold on to things because we think it's safer that way. We think letting go means losing control, losing identity, or even losing connection to our past. But freedom is not about erasing the past, it's about choosing not to be ruled by it. When we remove things that attract darkness, we're creating space for light. When we let go of what binds us, we make room for what blesses us. Whether it's a toxic relationship symbolized by a gift we keep out of guilt, or a relic from a time when we didn't know how to say no, or a habit that makes us feel powerful but leaves us empty, we owe it to ourselves to live without it. We were not born to carry everything. We were not made to be storage for sorrow. We are living, breathing people with a right to live freely, honestly, and lightly. So we remove the things that disturb our peace, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. We remove them not because we're weak, but because we're wise, and we do this over and over, again and again, until the space around us and within us reflects who we truly are. This is what freedom looks like. Not a dramatic escape, but a quiet return to ourselves. We all carry things we were never meant to keep. Some of these things were passed down through generations, old pain wrapped in silence, shame disguised as tradition, fear labeled as caution. Others we picked up ourselves, thinking they would protect us, thinking they made us stronger, thinking we couldn't survive without them. But over time, we begin to feel it, the heaviness, the disconnection. The way certain things seem to pull us out of alignment with who we really are. And it's then that we realize not everything we carry is ours to keep. Not everything belongs in the sacred space of a healing life. Healing asks for space. It requires room to breathe, to stretch, to grow. But some of us are living surrounded by the emotional debris of our past objects, habits, messages, and relationships that echo old wounds. These aren't always obvious. Sometimes they're hidden in plain sight, like a picture on the wall that reminds you of who you used to be, or a piece of clothing that holds the memory of who someone else told you to become. Sometimes they live in the rituals we perform without question, checking our worth through other people's eyes, apologizing for our needs, shrinking to keep the peace. These things are not neutral. They carry energy. They either support your healing or they distract you from it. When someone says, remove these items, they attract demons. It may sound dramatic, but there is deep truth in the symbolism, the demons we speak of are the parts of ourselves that grow in silence. Shame, resentment, grief that's been shoved into corners, fear that was never met with love. They are the consequences of avoiding hard truths. And certain things, physical or emotional, invite those demons in. Not because they're cursed, but because they're tied to pain we never processed, roles we never chose, or lives we've outgrown. When we keep them close, we give them power. We let them whisper to us in quiet moments. We let them interrupt our healing. To heal, we must be willing to confront what we've outgrown. We must be brave enough to walk away from things that once defined us. This is not abandonment, it's transformation. It's a sacred shedding. Healing is not about proving anything. It's not about being perfect. It's about coming home to ourselves, and coming home often means cleaning house. It means walking through your life with open eyes and asking, does this reflect my healing? Does this nourish my spirit? Does this feel like love, like truth, like peace? If the answer is no, you let it go. Not in anger, not in fear, but in clarity and love. You are not here to carry everything. You are not a storage unit for pain. You are a living, breathing soul on a journey of becoming. Remove what dims your light. Clear space for what heals, because the life you are creating deserves to be free from the ghosts of what no longer serves you. We carry things every day that go unnoticed: old stories, heavy emotions, habits we never question, and objects that hold more than dust. These things don't just take up physical space. They live inside our boundaries, shaping our thoughts, reactions, and the way we show up in the world. Sometimes, without realizing it, we allow things into our lives that don't support who we are or who we're becoming. Instead of serving us, they silently work against us. And while they may seem harmless on the surface, they carry a certain weight, an energy that doesn't align with peace, growth, or healing. When people say, remove these items, they attract demons. It's easy to laugh it off, but there's wisdom underneath. It's not about superstition. It's about boundaries. Boundaries are the lines we draw to protect our time, our energy, our values, and our emotional health. They are how we communicate what is acceptable and what is not. But boundaries aren't just for relationships. They apply to the environments we create, the things we choose to hold on to, and the energy we allow into our personal space. Sometimes, an object isn't just an object. It's a reminder of a person who hurt us, a version of ourselves we no longer want to be, or a belief we've worked hard to unlearn. Keeping it around is like leaving the door cracked open to something we've already walked away from. These items may seem insignificant, but they cross our boundaries every time they pull us backward instead of forward. Letting go is one of the most powerful expressions of a healthy boundary. When we remove something that doesn't support our well-being, we're saying, I deserve to feel safe here. I deserve peace in my space. I will no longer make room for what disturbs my spirit. That is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's not fear, it's clarity. There is a difference between holding on out of love and holding on out of habit or guilt. Sometimes we keep things because we're afraid of what their absence will mean, but often it is in the absence that our true healing begins. The space we create becomes a statement. I choose myself. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. You decide what comes in, what stays, and what gets removed. You are allowed to say no to things, to people, to memories dressed up as sentimental objects. You are allowed to reclaim your space physically and emotionally. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it means letting go of things others don't understand. Healing requires honesty, and sometimes that honesty sounds like, this no longer belongs with me. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not a curator of pain. You are a person with the right to grow, to change, and to remove anything that threatens your light. Respect your boundaries enough to clear what no longer reflects who you are. You do not owe your energy to anything that drains it. Shame is one of the heaviest things we carry, and often we do it silently. It clings to us, sometimes so subtly we don't even realize it's there. It hides in the way we speak to ourselves, in the way we shrink in certain rooms, in the way we avoid eye contact when we feel exposed. Shame doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells us we're not good enough, not lovable enough, not strong enough. It convinces us that if people knew the truth about us, what we've done, what's been done to us, what we struggle with, they'd turn away, and so we keep things. We hold on to objects, memories, habits, and identities that feed that shame. They become part of the landscape of our lives, familiar but suffocating. They sit on our shelves, in our drawers, in the corners of our minds, quietly reinforcing the idea that we have something to hide. But we weren't born with shame, we learned it. Somewhere along the way, someone handed it to us. Maybe through their words or their silence, maybe through rejection or control, comparison or abuse. And because we were too young or too vulnerable to question it, we absorbed it. We made it part of how we saw ourselves, and now, as adults, we find ourselves living in environments, external and internal, that reflect that early shame. We keep things that validate the lies we were taught, the clothes that make us feel small, the notes from people who hurt us, the gifts from people who only loved us when we were quiet, obedient, or broken. We surround ourselves with reminders of our not enoughness because part of us still believes it's true. But shame is a liar. It is a shadow, not a reflection. And the moment we start to see it for what it is, we can begin to dismantle it. This doesn't mean pretending we're perfect or pretending the past didn't happen. It means telling the truth without letting the truth define our worth. It means looking around our lives and asking, does this item, this memory, this belief serve my healing or my hiding? If it keeps us small, if it keeps us ashamed, then we don't need it. We can let it go, not because it never mattered, but because it no longer helps. Removing the things that carry shame is not about denying our story. It's about rewriting our relationship to it. Shame thrives in secrecy. It withers in the light. Every time we choose to remove something that reinforces our shame, we make a statement. I am no longer available for self-abandonment. I am no longer willing to decorate my life with reminders of my unworthiness. I am choosing something better, not because I have to be better, but because I already am. You do not need to hold on to things that make you feel less than. You are not the sum of your shame. You are the space beyond it, the soul beneath it, and the light that outlives it. Courage is often misunderstood. Many people think it's about grand gestures, dramatic action, or loud declarations, but real courage, the kind that transforms us, is usually quiet. It's the voice inside that says, I don't have to live like this anymore. It's the trembling hand that reaches for the doorknob to walk away. It's the decision to let go of something that once felt essential, even if it breaks your heart to do so. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. It's facing the unknown with nothing but your truth and the hope that it will be enough. Courage is found in the moments no one else sees. It's in waking up and choosing to keep trying when everything in you wants to quit. It's in saying what needs to be said, even when your voice shakes. It's in choosing boundaries where there used to be silence, in choosing rest where there used to be self-punishment, in choosing to heal when staying hurt might feel easier. Courage asks us to live honestly, even when honesty is uncomfortable. It asks us to face ourselves, not the version we show the world, but the one we've been hiding, judging, avoiding. And when we finally do, when we sit in our own presence without flinching, we begin to remember who we were before the world told us who to be. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about being deeply human. It's crying and still showing up. It's doubting and still deciding. It's making peace with the fact that growth is not linear and healing doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes courage is simply staying with yourself through the hard days, refusing to abandon your own heart. And sometimes it's about releasing things that no longer fit, roles, relationships, habits, or environments that once kept us safe but now keep us stuck. We cannot grow and stay comfortable. Courage is the bridge between the life we've known and the one we're meant to live. Courage is also learning to receive, to let yourself be loved, supported, seen. For many, that's the hardest part. It's easier to do it all alone than to risk the vulnerability of being open. But connection is where healing happens. Courage allows us to stop performing and start belonging. It lets us tell the truth about our pain and still trust we are worthy of love. When we choose courage over comfort, we say yes to possibility. We say yes to freedom. We say yes to a version of life that is rooted in truth instead of fear, and courage is contagious. Every time you choose to live honestly, to speak kindly to yourself, to let go of what harms you, you invite others to do the same. You become a quiet revolution. You show that it's possible to live with integrity even in a world that often rewards pretending. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Try again tomorrow." And that is more than enough.